All right, welcome to the 50th edition of the Three Stooges podcast. Joe Davidson, Sacramento B, Jordan Georgeson of Gold Country Media, Chris Jackson of West Coast Preps. I didn't know it was a 50th. Jordan told me before the show here, but that little history here, we're just three, jovial, simple, troubled, confused, public nuisance kind of guys who cover high school sports. It's something we really like doing. I've done it for a long time. These guys are the next era. And so they're the real stooges, Jordan and Chris. And then they wanted a third stooge to maybe do a podcast. And I said, well, let's do it. I'm the senior stooge. You guys are the young buck stooges. And I commend you guys. You guys are out there every day, working on stories, going to games, practices, talking to coaches. Not all of it sunshine and happy. There are coaching terminations, odd things going on, sportsmanship. We cover all of that. And so I'm always kicking to you guys. I've covered high school sports since 1989 at the Sacramento Bee. I love the gig, but I'm also doing a lot of stuff with Sacramento State, UC Davis, doing the A's today, things like that. But there's nothing binds a community like local sports, and we're all united like that. But I'm the least stooge of the three stooges. Well, no, I mean we're all stooges. But anyways, so Chris Jackson, you got your cool Final Four hat on. Jordan's got his A's. I got an old B hat that's got sweat all over it. It's been thrown. It's all sweaty inside. Um, haven't we thrown a hat on deadline? You know,
Throwing a hat on deadline. You
everywhere
ever
else.
thrown one golfing too? Or when you played baseball back in the day, throwing a hat after the bat out? Yeah,
Yep.
it's done that many times.
Jordan, can't find one of his kids who's hiding behind a couch, and he throws his A's hat, and then little tater tot eating little kid comes around the corner and all that. But there we go. So, why don't let's just start. Jordan, you're winning. You're wearing the perfect hat today. It's the A's hat. I'm covering the A's today. It's Jackie Robinson Day. Jackie Robinson was the one who broke through the color barrier,
Yep.
1947, opening day. On this date, back in 1947, the Brooklyn Dodgers, one of the pioneering great players, personalities, good people. The A's are going to be handing out commemorative hats, Jackie Robinson hats today. I think that's really cool. But have you guys heard anything about the high schools doing anything? I saw that Florin High School of the Oak Grove Unified is going to have Dodger colored themed ribbons in their hair. So everybody's getting in the act. I don't know if you guys have heard anything, but this guy needs to be honored. And if you're listening to this wondering who exactly is Jackie Robinson, do a Google search. He's worth refreshing.
Well, so this is one of my favorite days of the year. I actually have the Jackie Robinson Day hat on today. We got the
Yes, you
patch, and then on
do.
the
Well
inside,
played,
it's
sir.
got some stats and like a little baseball card thing and a 42 on the brim. So I this was always one of my favorite days of the year when I was a kid. I always loved whenever the players would wear just the 42. I think it's such a cool thing, such a special thing. And Jackie Robinson, I think if you grew up playing baseball, is someone you idolized. I mean, I remember the iconic picture of him sliding into home plate when he's stealing home in a book that I don't even remember the book. I think it might have just been like a baseball almanac type of book. And I remember reading that, staying up later than I should have. Tell my parents I'm going to bed when I'm 6, and I'm under the covers with a flashlight reading that book, and that's one of the images that stands out. So one of my favorite days every year. Always love watching it. The only day a year that I'll root for the Dodgers, because I think they deserve to win on this day. And yeah, just it's a cool thing that baseball does, a cool tradition, and it's well deserved. And I mean, Chris, I know you probably have your 2 cents on it. And then Joe, we've got local ties to it, don't we?
Oh, we
Yeah.
do. And Chris
Oh yeah.
Jackson, I don't know if you're going to a game today, but keep an eye out certainly. And we've seen it over the years. It's a great tribute to Jackie Robinson, and also raises up the other question. And this has been touched on for years, locally and across the country. How does Major League Baseball, or how does baseball at all levels, get more black players? This was a story we worked on some 30 years ago. Why are there fewer black players playing baseball than years before? And guys like Jerry Manuel of the Sacramento region and Dusty Baker of the Sacramento region, these guys were Major League Baseball players, Major League managers, and they said it's a problem. That's something that they always look into and focus. And I think some of the, on the surface, it's not a cheap sport. If you're a young kid and if you're in the inner city and money is tight, who's got all the money for the equipment and the travel ball and those kind of things? It's interesting, and it's always something that coaches talk about. And so that's something there. But Chris Jackson, you got any thoughts on Jackie Robinson Day?
I mean, just changed everything, right? Like Jackie Robinson coming into the big leagues changed so much. I mean, I know we've still got a long way to go with a lot of things. Sorry, I guess our doorbell just rang and our little puppy's going insane. But I guess he agrees with me too, right? Our little dog agrees with me. But I mean, we still got a long way to go, right? I mean, it shouldn't matter what race you are, no matter what sport you play, right? It shouldn't have to come down to that. If you're good, you're good. Simple as that.
It's true. And well, one thing that does help is when there's a refurbished Little League field or a high school field, and we'll say Sacramento, Sacramento City Unified School District, where refurbished athletic facilities for football and track and field and baseball. Grant High School in Del Paso Heights has new baseball digs. That's fantastic. So what that does is it helps greenlight kids to come on out, use these fantastic facilities and venues and other things we're going to talk about today. Who's hot in baseball? Who's hot in softball? Brian Kilby of Franklin High School, the Wildcats of Elk Grove Unified won his 300th game. Great career there. Section champs in Division One, 2023, and last season. Laguna Creek baseball, also the Elk Grove Unified, with big wins recently over Rockland. Franklin yesterday over Elk Grove, 12-7. We'll kick that over to Chris Jackson when he's done answering the door. What if he doesn't come back? I mean, we're just going to have to carry the show without him. That's all right.
When do we file a missing persons report, though? That's the
It's
question.
exactly
I think
right.
we
I'm
wait at
already
least 3
concerned.
days.
Exactly.
Courtesy.
And here's a shout out to we lost a good man and a good coach this week. I'm not sure how he died, but Winston Young is a fixture in high school football coaching for a lot of years as an assistant coach. Valley High School graduate, started coaching at Valley, coached, which is an Elk Grove Unified, got hired by Mark Nill in the early 2000s to coach with him at Laguna Creek, was recently at Destiny Christian, formerly of Capital Christian. Antoine Simmons, an assistant coach for Destiny Christian, and had a powerhouse moving tribute to him on social media and what he meant. And so our thoughts and prayers are to Winston Young's family. We talk about the head coaches. They are big paramount figures. The assistant coaches are equally as important. There's a lot more assistant coaches than the head coaches, and people feel this in a community like this. And we were talking a little bit off the air and earlier on this, Jordan, about Jackie Robinson. There's a local tie. There really are. There are two local ties. I'll start with one and you go with the other. Jackie Robinson was part of a historic night in Sacramento at famed Hughes Stadium on the campus of Sacramento City College in 1937, while he was a multi-sport athlete at Pasadena City College and down in the Los Angeles area. He won the long jump at 22 feet 6 inches. It was the first night meet at Hughes Stadium. Later that season, 1937, Jackie Robinson set the national junior college record at 25 feet 6 and a third inches. So how cool that happened here. But he, on opening day in 1947, had a teammate, Jordan, who has Sacramento deep ties, Folsom High School, Sacramento City College, and they became friends, long-lasting friends. And the guy's name was Spider Jorgensen. You can't make up a better name than that. But that's really cool and kind of neat history. They both went 0-3 in their first game, but it was deeper than that. They became friends and kind of a neat local side story to that.
Yeah, definitely. They came up together through the minors too. I know they played in Montreal together with the Royals, who were the AAA affiliate for the Dodgers at the time. And I think they were second base and shortstop too. So they were kind of a tandem duo when they were in AAA together. And then kind of an interesting thing on the day they both debuted, Jorgensen actually thought that he was going to get sent back to AAA. So he sent all his equipment to Syracuse, where they were going to be opening up the season, and some injuries forced the Dodgers to keep him on the major league roster on opening day, and he didn't have any equipment. and didn't know what he was going to do. And Jackie Robinson actually lent his glove to Jorgensen for the day. I guess he had an extra one. He borrowed some spikes from another teammate. So kind of a cool
Actually
thing that,
borrowed the spikes from Jackie.
oh, he borrowed the
So
spikes
use
too.
his
So
spikes and his glove.
I love it. So Jackie came prepared. He had two. What was Spider doing? I mean, sending his gear away. You got to have a backup. Come on. But super cool. I love that local tie. If you go to Folsom, there's a few different fields I think named after him. And awesome that they're able to stay lifelong friends, and a nice, cool local tie to a piece of major league history. And every once in a while, when I think we've all been there, when we're at a trivia night at a bar or something like that, they'll ask sometimes, hey, who was the guy who made his debut alongside Jackie Robinson? And anyone from Sacramento, you have no excuse now. Spider Jorgensen, Folsom native, was the one to do it. And may they both rest in peace. But happy Jackie Robinson and Spider Jorgensen Day to everyone.
Well done. And they both went 0 for 3 in that first game. They were first teammates in 1946, as you alluded to, in the minor leagues. Jorgensen said decades later, I got to know Jackie as well as anybody. You don't chum around with guys. You don't room with them. There was a certain separation, the black players and the white players. But that's the way the times were. But most of the fans really thought Jackie was great, which is really cool. In that same interview many years ago, he said, I came to Ebbets Field on opening day scared to death. I didn't think I was going to play. I didn't have any equipment with me. It was all shipped to another place, as you said. I didn't think I was going to play. My glove, bats, everything was in another park. Then Jackie comes over and says, here, use my second base glove. So I used his glove and borrowed a pair of his spikes, and I'm in the lineup. And uh, how cool is that? And so Jorgensen played parts of 5 big league seasons, appearing in the 1947 1949 World Series. In the 1960s, more local ties, he coached the Fair Oaks American Legion team in this region to championships. And the 1967 team included Dusty Baker out of Del Campo High School. Dusty, who went on to major league career as a manager, first as a player, then a manager. He has for years credited Spider Jurgensen for player development. I wouldn't be surprised if um, Dusty Baker isn't at the game tonight in West Sacramento. He's a fixture at Kings games. He was at A's opening day last year. Last guy, so really kind of a full circle moment for everybody like that, and I applaud it. I applaud it. So, um,
Joe, if you want a good Dusty Baker story, he lives across the street from my grandparents. And a couple years ago on Christmas, he comes to deliver a bottle of wine to my grandparents. And Haley happened to be the one walking by the front door as he knocks. So she opens the door, and we were pretty early on in dating. So she was kind of, comfortable enough to open the door, but, doesn't know who to go get. So she calls me and goes, hey, someone's at the door. And, I go get my uncle and I see who's at the door. I'm like, someone? I'm like, you call yourself a Giants fan? That's Dusty Baker right there. So shout out to him. And, he's been awesome every time I've gotten to talk to him. I'll see him on walks in the neighborhood. But yeah, he's been a staple in the community and seeing him at games all the time. So it's cool to see that he's still giving back to baseball in this area.
oh, he's big time, and he once asked my advice. We got to know each other over the years, and he goes, "Hey, my son Darren's going to be a high school kid in the next couple of years. What I'm trying to figure out what high school to send him to." And he lived, and I said, "Well, where do you live?" Right, he goes, "We're right next to Granite Bay High School." I said, "Send him to Granite Bay. Pat Esposito's a really good coach." And he wound up going to Jesuit, turned out just fine for everybody. And Darren Baker has had his own good career. And but he's also talked about that over the decades and stories I've done, other people have done. How do you get more blacks in baseball and Little League and high school? And so he's a champion on that. And Dusty Baker was remains one of this area's all-time great super athlete, football player, basketball player, baseball, track and field. He used to do long jumps in between double headers in baseball, if you could imagine. And his father wanted him to play basketball at Santa Clara in the Bay Area on a full scholarship, but Dusty signed a contract with the Braves, Atlanta Braves, and it infuriated his dad. Then his dad did something historic, and he got a hold of the management of the Braves and said, "I want a clause in there that says that if my son ever wants to go to college, that the Braves will pay for all that tuition. That clause is still in effect, though he never used it. So how's that for a power play? And of course, father and son, rekindled and all that, but he wanted the best for his son, and good stuff. But kicking around a couple other things. Sacramento State is still in spring training or spring football. I think they have their quarterback Carson Conklin. He was their starting quarterback 2 years ago, freshman All-American, then transferred to Fresno State. Now he's back, so that's a nice solid thing and stability. UC Davis has its spring football game on Saturday. Who's going to play quarterback for the Aggies? We know Caden Pinnick is no longer there. He nailed down the job a year ago, Jordan, with a great spring showing and a great spring game. He has now since transferred to Washington State. They're not thin on talent in the quarterback room, but it's going to be interesting. That's why spring football is there. So that's interesting. And we talk about the transfer portal. The portal works, Jordan, if you wind up being a starter. If you jump into the portal and then you're not a starter, then was it worth it because you were a starter before? So we're going to see. We don't doubt the ability and tenacity and skill of Caden Pinnick, but it's not a good transfer if he doesn't wind up as a starter in Washington State. Agree?
Yeah, I agree. It's, you've got a part of the transfer portal too is kids looking for opportunities, but sometimes you get three kids transferring into a program looking for an opportunity, or you get maybe a kid looking for an opportunity that they're going to a school thinking, hey, I'm going to win this starting job or in this starting job. And the coaches are bringing a kid in thinking, hey, we've got our, next year's starter locked down and we've got a solid backup plan locked down. So, I think kind of that's the murky waters we're going to navigate here with this. But yeah, it's one that I think if he had stayed another year at UC Davis and then gone on to Washington State, I think, that starting job would be close to guaranteed. I know Colorado was looking at bringing him in. And my understanding was they kind of wanted him to fight for the starting job. And the big one too is, he could still win the starting job at Washington State, but it's tougher to break in, especially when you go from that jump from FCS to FBS. The talent level is a little bit higher than what you're used to. I think he's perfectly capable of doing it, but it is going to be a tougher road. And Joe, speaking of spring ball, we also have to give a shout out. Baylor Kelly from Placer High School graduated, I believe, in 24. Great athlete there. One of the most electric high school football players I've gotten to cover. He was supposed to play at American River last year, ended up not playing football, and I was a little surprised by that. I felt like he was a Division I caliber kid that was maybe a little undersized and didn't get an offer. Well, I got a text a few weeks ago that they asked me to kind of, hey, hold on this until the spring game happens. Well, the spring game happened over the weekend, but he walked on at the University of Alabama as a wide receiver and played in their spring game, and you know goes to show, hey, believe in yourself, bet on yourself, and if you're going to find a way to play, then if you're good enough, your talent will do the talk. So a shout out to him. But yeah, I mean, with this transfer portal stuff, with all this stuff, I think the big thing is you got to find an avenue where you believe in yourself and find a way to get on that field. But a shout out to Baylor for that.
Time. And a lot of times I dismiss the walk-on opportunity. So many times the walk-on, if you think about college football, there's always walk-on opportunities for the receivers and the tight ends and the slot guys, and because there's so many passes thrown in these spring drills and regular season practices, and so you need bodies. And so the practice squad guy, the preferred walk-on, is a body. You don't get a scholarship, you don't get a meal card. Full scholarship guys get a meal card, and they can go eat anytime they want. It doesn't mean it's McDonald's and junk food, but it's in their cafeteria, so it's all nutrition. The walk-on doesn't get that. The walk-on doesn't even get to suit up. The walk-on isn't on the sideline during the game, and they don't get to travel. It does give you an opportunity. So Baylor Kelly, yeah. And here's the other thing, Jordan. Guys develop and grow. I mean, Baylor Kelly, I would imagine, is bigger, better, stronger, quicker, more agile, more mobile than he was in high school. And so kudos to him, and never underestimate the heart of a champion. We've heard that one, but also don't underestimate the drive of a guy who's got a lot to prove. And so kudos to him. Not easy to make it, but yeah, really cool. So in recent weeks, West Coast Preps with Chris Jackson, who is back, There he is. I
Oh,
mean,
oh,
he's
oh,
outside
Yeah, there's
signing
fire
oh, it
drill.
autographs.
is it is rant time for me. They decide, let's do a fire inspection in our complex and let's have the alarm go off for
Well,
15
let's not
minutes.
smoke. Let's not smoke when it's designated
Ridiculous.
non-smoking.
Ridiculous. So these guys, they come in, oh yeah, the inspection's done in 30 seconds. They're like, yeah, this thing's gonna go off for another 10 to 15 minutes. I'm like, what? Why do we gotta do
Well,
that?
okay. Can we confess? Jordan and I said, hey, why don't we pull a prank and let's not pull the fire alarm. Let's just call the fire department and say, hey, go check out the Jackson place. There's
Yeah.
something
You know,
where
that's
there's
it.
smoke, there's fire.
That's it. Jordan's not winning the 3-point shootout now.
You know what, Chris?
When is your
It,
court appearance, by the way, Chris Jackson,
Hey,
for habitual abuse of
if
smoking?
if this thing keeps going, if this thing goes off again today, there might be a court appearance soon. I'm fired
That's
up.
ex
I've
that's
always
exactly.
pegged you as an arsonist, Chris.
No,
Oh,
always.
hey, you just dropped something. So on Sunday in El Dorado Hills at John Adams Academy, which is a small school that did some great things, and Elliot Schwartz, their star player there, she will be in a three-point shooting contest with some other high school stars, including Lauren Harris, our Sacramento Bee Player of the Year for Chris Jackson as well. She's the all-time three-point maker in high school girls history out of Faith Christian Yuba City. So it's going to be a cool media paired with local three-point specialists in the Sacramento region against media. I'm not in it. Shin splints, back spasms, whatever. Translation, I haven't picked up a basketball in too many years, so I'm not even sure how to shoot straight.
We'll call it load
So we
management.
know that Jordan's going to be in it. We know Matthew Bassett of ABC Jam Productions by way of NFHS Network will be in it. We know that our good friend Quentin Hamilton of Modesto B will be in it. Steve Bryla of the Yuba City area will be in it.
He's got no chance.
Kevin John, we love Kevin John, his great spirit at ABC 10. I'm missing a couple of guys. Nick Pecoraro, Max Prep, Sacramento B. Who else is going to be hurling up shots in desperation on Sunday at 2 p.m. in this fantabulous event?
Uh, I believe Noel Harris has joined the group.
That's
He's
a
coming in.
longtime Sacramento Bee employee. He's now with the San Francisco Chronicle Class Act guy. I don't know if he's got game, but we'll see.
Probably not. I mean, you've seen the guy. I mean, come on.
That's
He's
right.
willingly a Chargers fan. He can't have that much athletic
That's
taste.
exactly right. And his
And
daughter's a track runner, so he's conflicted.
yeah, that comes from mom's side.
That's right.
And
So
yeah, I'm trying to think if we missed anyone. I
Aaron's
think.
in it. I know
and
Aaron
how about
Jackson.
let's
Oh yeah, Aaron. Yeah, yeah. I
Aaron,
thought.
yeah, Aaron
Yeah,
Jackson's helping
he's
run
the
this
one. He's the
thing.
one putting it on, promoting a good chunk of it.
He
I'm
is.
looking forward to it. Joe, I know you'll be out there with Scott roasting all of us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Scott
we
Tedman
can.
is the judge, the coach. So we're gonna pass the microphone and mock you guys. We'll say, Jordan, why don't you set a screen since you can't hit a jumper? And um, Chris Jackson, who are some of the shooters we have? We know Lauren Harris, and we also mentioned Elliot Schwartz of she knows that rim. That's her school. That's her gym. She's from Adams Academy of El Dorado Hills. But there's more.
Yeah, like I know Joy, almost shocking from Christian Brothers there. I think Haley Smith from Liberty Ranch is there. I don't know each player that's there. I'm sure I could go look at the graphic. I probably should do that, but I guess the real shooter, or at least he thinks he's the real shooter, is Matt Bassett. I mean, he keeps saying he's hitting 51 out of 93s every time he goes to 24-hour fitness. First off, how is it 4 times in a row? It's 51 out of 90.
The
One, I
man is
call bogus.
Consistency.
consistent.
Two, where's he getting the time to just do this? So we don't got nobody's got time in our day to do
Right.
this.
Right.
We're
I
working,
was
there's
talking to
families. I don't. He's not hitting 51 out of 90. He posted 4 makes on Twitter the other day. That's his only 4 makes he's ever
I,
had.
Well,
I like the.
Matthew Bassett is a lot of things, including a lot of hot air. We love him for that. So he's got to put up or shut up. I told Nick Pecoraro, since we live near each other at Fair Oaks, I said, let's go find an outdoor hoop and let's go compete. I said, I'm not in this thing. I'm just gonna mock you guys, but I'll feed you some shots. Let's get some 3-point shots. Of course, it's been raining. That's a problem. But it's a
It'll
cool
be
deal.
raining in
It's on
that gym
Sunday,
too when I'm
2 p.m.
shooting.
And there you go, Jordan. I mean, there's also going to be a skills thing where you got to do a layup and you got to do a free throw and then 3-point shooting. And I think that the media guys are going to send basketball back generations. The girls will will triumphantly carry the day
I
and
mean,
all
if
those kind
if
of
I can
things.
curb any expectations on me with this, I have said my goal in this situation is to not finish last. I have two goals. It's to not finish last, and it's to beat Stephen Bryla. And I have been vocal about that. I've been vocal to Stephen about that. And I'm fully aware. Hey, I average a triple single. I have not played competitive basketball since like seventh grade or something like that. But man, if we did like a hustle stat competition, I would wipe the floor with diving for loose balls and foul someone trying to
Setting
get to the loose
train
ball
wreck
and setting screens. And
screens.
yeah, I'm a grit guy, but hey, even the grit guys can hit a three sometimes. I was not the best shooter, I will say that, but I am confident that I will not be the worst shooter here.
Oh, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. And while you were answering the doors and putting out
Oh,
fires, Chris Jackson, we were talking about various things and more on Jackie Robinson. And we want to get back to, we're going to talk about our basketball players of the year, the three of us and who we had. But let's talk a little bit about who's hot in baseball. We talked about Brian Kilby winning his 300th game, one of the class guys,
oh, great guy.
longtime baseball coach at Franklin High School, Oak Grove Unified, activities director. So he's super involved. He was known to take power naps for hours, in the activities director's office because he just pours in. Activities director means you are helping run the dance and events on campus, and heck of a baseball coach. Laguna Creek graduate. And speaking of Laguna Creek, Chris Jackson, what is up with the Cardinals? They have a team that's pretty dangerous, looking dangerous in Division Two as the playoffs loom.
Yep.
Wins over Rockland recently in non-league, and then in league they beat Franklin, and yesterday they beat Oak Grove 12-7. Nick Jones, 3 RBI. Zach Evans is the coach. I don't know who Zach Evans is, if he's from this region. What do you know about the Cardinals? And there's nothing like baseball upsets because Elk Grove was our top ranked team at the B. I think they were your top ranked team as well in the Sackville Kings section with West Coast Preps. But what makes high school sports exciting is when the upstarts pull upsets.
Yeah, so they've gotten some big ones recently, right? I know Franklin still took two out of three, but there's probably a lot of us that thought Franklin would get the sweep, right? And that goes to show you what Laguna Creek's doing because the week before that, they won a tournament, they beat Rockland, who was also one of the hottest teams. Now, Jordan, since you really cover them day to day, I'll let you get into them in a minute. But to go from Rockland, it was back to back. So there was that stretch where they beat Rockland, they beat Franklin, and then yesterday they beat Elk Grove and putting up 12 runs on Elk Grove. That is no easy feat, man. I've seen Elk Grove. I'll see them once or twice next week because they've got that series with Franklin, that 3 game set. Starts next Monday. That'll be great. But what they did was awesome. You had Nick Jones. You mentioned the home run, 3 hits, 3 RBIs. Jose D. Trinidad just hit 20 RBIs on the season. Had a double in this game, 2 hits, an RBI. There was Julian Pogue Jasper, just a sophomore. He had 2 hits and 2 RBIs in this game as well. And looking up and down that lineup, what was it? They had 4 guys with multiple hits in this game, right? Tiger Peterson, another just awesome name. We do an all name team. I mean, if you name your kid Tiger, obviously the kid earned the success with the work ethic and everything else, but you're just meant to be something with a name like Tiger, right? But Laguna Creek's playing well. That's a team that's really on the rise. I think you'll probably see them in more rankings coming up soon. And then Granite Bay, who I just saw yesterday, Pat Esposito, I heard you mention his name is the alarm was still going off, and I was getting pissed because I'm like, oh, I want to talk about Pat Esposito. I hope I didn't miss my chance. And Granite Bay, right? There's been rumors of the past, even this last year, oh, Esposito's done. He's going to retire. I asked him yesterday. He's like, I love this too much, man. I don't want to go. Baseball's everything. I love watching these kids develop. I love watching putting the game on TV and it says the kids from Granite Bay and it's just what you do it for, right? And his team, they carry his spirit. They are young in a lot of ways. There's a lot of sophomore signing. Like Isaac Schroeder entered yesterday's game against Folsom with a 508 batting average. Consider who Granite Bay's played. They play in the SFL. They went to the Boris Classic Championship where they beat top Bay Area teams. Some private schools out of the West Catholic Athletic League. They got some aces. They got a shortstop, Andrew Jones. He was all SFL as a sophomore last year, now a junior. He had a play yesterday where we don't remember the little ESPN web gem plays, right? Where you watch Great Baseball Tonight, Sports Center, you get the web gems. It was one of those. Grounder up the middle, how he made it look so effortless, right? And then he goes perfect out throw the first. Guy was out by a few feet too. I mean, it was incredible. Obviously, he was celebrating. Teammates were going crazy. And talking with Esposito after that game, we were just marveling. Holy crap, what a play that was. But that's the way this whole Granite Bay team is. They had Drew Galball pitch 6 great innings, gave up 2 runs, and Granite Bay responded. That's a team that they felt like a lot of people thought they weren't going to be good this year because they were young. A lot of people don't know who Granite Bay had coming back, and it's the SFL, right? That is one tough league to win, but they feel like they've got a chance to make another run. They had that stretch of 3 straight. Who knows? Last year, maybe it could have been 4 straight, but right, there were a couple of kids who went to IMG Academy, young in a lot of spots, and this feels like Granite Bay all over again. They are playing really great baseball. They are half game back of Jesuit for first place in the league now. They just swept Folsom, who was originally in first. Granite Bay plays Jesuit, I think, in 2 weeks, I want to say, so that should be a great one too. But Esposito is one of those all-time coaches and people. He's a fun guy to follow, and he doesn't really have his guys do summer ball with him anymore, which he thinks has done just great things. That he thinks sometimes guys want to break from him too, and that's healthy. Get a little break. Summer, go play for travel ball, go play in front of some scouts, showcases, all that stuff, and clearly his recipe always freaking works, man. He is detail oriented. He is always beaming you with energy. Every single pitch is meticulous. The energy, he's coaching guys up, and tell you what, you think Granite Bay is good now? It's going to be really scary in 2027 and again in 2028.
Well, and we've talked about this a lot, guys, over the years. And in high school, your coach, the head coach, is paramount. More so, I think, than in college, and more so than in the pros. And Pat Esposito is a perfect example. He took over a brand new program when Granite Bay opened in the mid late 90s. Founding coach like Ernie Cooper was in football, and these guys. They just work. And you're right. Pat Esposito has thought about retirement many times. And there's a lot of coaches over the decades. They think about it. They think about it, they're tired, they're worn out, they get a little tired of the parents, and it's just exhausting at the end of an academic year. But then the players, hey, coach, when can we do this and when can we do it? So they come back. And Mike Albergini of Grant, all those years with the Grant Pacers, the Del Paso Heights, Pacer for life, and section or the Sacramento area's all-time winningest football coach with 284 wins. And many times he talked about, I think this is it for me, and blah, blah, blah. And he was off the record. But then, coach, when can you open the weight room? When can we do summer workouts? Comes back. Terry Stark, he's back coaching with the Antelope Titans, a longtime football coach, 230 game winner. I remember talking to him once, and I said, what do you have if you don't have family in football? And he goes, I don't golf, I don't fish, I don't gamble, I don't travel. This is what I do. This is what these guys do. And these long-standing coaches, it's fantastic. What a gift. And good point, Chris Jackson. A lot of times, whether it's basketball, baseball, softball, the summer league, summertime, they have somebody else coach the guys. They need a different voice. And so we touched kind of a segment we're doing here. Who's hot? We just talked about the Laguna Creek Cardinals, Oak Grove Unified. They're hot. Granite Bay's hot. Jordan, who's hot in softball? Is there a team, a player, a league, a conference? Who's sizzling out there?
I think we've got a few ones to take a look at. One of the big ones right now. Well, first I'll add a few to our baseball ones. Placer baseball's won 9 in a row now.
How about
Lincoln
that?
baseball's won 12 in a row. And Rockland baseball, after an 0-8 start, they're 8-12-1. And a special shout out to Garrett Brink over at Placer. I watched him pitch last night. 6 shutout innings against 12 Bridges. They took game one of that, 8-0. That's the third time he hasn't given up a run in a league start this year. And I think in 3 league starts, he pitched a complete game shutout against Roseville and against Nevada Union, and then 6 innings of shutout baseball last night against 12 Bridges. And I think there was only one inning that the Rhinos even really threatened. He kind of just
Oh,
shut them down right away.
that was last night. So it was at James Field in
Yep.
Auburn. How cool is that where you have a high school team who plays night games in a great venue on a school night, and Placer's done. I've been there on some Friday games. It's really cool, isn't it? It's a great
Oh,
atmosphere.
it's one of the best. I love that they do that. Yuba City, I know, does the night games too. So cool that we get 2 teams in the same league. I think Woodland gets to do some night games as well. Um, And then how about this? Chris and I were at a Roseville game earlier. Roseville has lights, but apparently they're not allowed to use them because softball doesn't have lights. So I don't know who made that rule, but hey, let's figure out a way that Roseville can use those lights and get some night games in too. Because more night games, the better. Sometimes we got to do 2-for-1s. If Del Oro's playing at 4 and Placer's playing at 7, I'll try to hit both games and find a way to make that work. So let's find a way to get night games. But softball wise, we have a lot of SFL teams that are hot right now. I'm going to the game today between Whitney and Del Oro, which could be the one that decides that league title race. And Whitney won that first one, I think 2-0. Del Oro has been kind of a team that is scoring in bunches where if you look at a lot of their scores, they're winning 7, 8, 9-0 in some of these games, but 7 of the runs are coming in one inning. So I'm interested to see that battle. 2 of the best arms you're going to see. Rockland too has been dominant. Peyton Pryor too just got her 500th career strikeout. So shout out to her. And then how about a shout out to Lincoln too? The Lady Zebras have been on a tear. They've really turned it on. They're looking like a team that can win the PVL in that with some small school softball. They're 9-9-1 overall, but 7-1 in league. And I want to say they're on a 4 or 5 game winning streak as well. So a shout out to them. They've played a tough schedule too with their non-league. So they knew what they had with this group. But yeah, I feel like the baseball and softball out here has never been better. And it just kind of feels like we keep getting more and more. Chris, you've been to games too. We were talking about Del Oro last week beating Central Catholic, and all of a sudden the freshman pitcher is starting to look like a stud when you already have a junior that's a national recruit. And we're talking about the freshmen coming into the lineup all of a sudden are looking like they can plug right into these schools. Whitney has a few that are in that situation. Rockland, I believe, has a freshman that's in that situation. It just kind of feels like the rich are getting richer with some of these programs, and it's never been better.
I mean, and you look at Del Oro's got 2 freshman pitchers, is right, because there's Kapopovsky, she's pitching really well. You've got Karis Hersam's another freshman pitching in against Central Catholic. You add that with the junior, Michaela Finn going to Cal. They're good, and glad you mentioned how good this area is for softball, because I was just doing something fun yesterday, a fun little thing to write. Like, how would the D1 softball bracket for NorCal look right now? Just something fun, something you kind of talk about, especially after we've had some of these big, like Destiny Christian beat St. Francis, right? Or the Livermore Stampede, where Livermore wins that thing. Now, where do they look in this mix? I have them at 3, but top 2 are Destiny Christian and Ponderosa, both Sac Joaquin section, both the same division of this section. Both are undefeated, and now both are nationally ranked by Max Preps. It was either 15-16 or 16-17, and this area is as good as it gets. Destiny Christian, Ayla Tua going to LSU. She entered this week with a .17 ERA in 11 home runs and 43 RBIs at the plate. Then you've got Ponderosa's Kate McCartney, 11 home runs as a sophomore after 9 as a freshman. I mean, just ridiculous. A freshman pitcher, a senior pitcher going to Southern Oregon. Those SFL teams, I mean, there's plenty that can win the whole thing. I mean, I don't know, I can't wait. And then City of Elk Grove. Sheldon plays Elk Grove today. I'll be going to that. And Elk Grove's picked up some big wins. Sheldon they're tied for first place. Sheldon's got 2 girls committed. One of them signed with Kentucky. Quincy Brown, you got Micah Kennedy committed to UC Santa Barbara. Her older sister is actually playing, I think, at Arkansas and playing really well. I feel like I see her sister is doing something really well every day on Twitter on the Arkansas softball Twitter account, right? So there's that. Elk Grove super young. They have a class in there that played for a national championship in travel ball. They're all coming up. Young pitchers, young hitters. Amanda Buck's one of those great coaches on both the high school circuit, the travel ball circuit. So is Sheldon now with Joe Hawkes, whose second year obviously replaces the great Mary Jo Truesdale. They still do giving out the marbles after every game, which is super cool. Players have said they've lost count how many marbles they have, but they keep them, right? So that this area has never been better. And to be honest with you, I think it's just getting started about this one. That we're in a very strong possibility where the top 2 teams in NorCal this year for softball. Again, last year we had Del Oro, Oak Ridge in the final. Don't be surprised if we get 2 Sac Joaquin section teams again this year. Maybe we get an NCS or CCS team in there, but early indication that April 15th, a lot can change, right? We still got a few weeks of the regular season. We got section playoffs. You got to go a certain distance in there. Some of these brackets are tough, especially when you get into that NCS, CCS range where it's all competitive equity, right? Where they just strictly rank you. But I don't know. Zach Joaquin's got to be feeling pretty good again.
Oh, no, good stuff. And you talk about these coaches. Amanda Buck was a multi-sport star at Oak Grove High School. So she's coaching her alma mater, was an excellent basketball player, softball player. We talked about who's hot. You both touched on it. Destiny Christian of Sacramento, 16-0. Who do they play? They're in the Golden Empire League. Well, geez, let's take a look. They beat Del Oro earlier this season, 3-0. That's quality. Beat St. Francis of Mountain View, 1-0. That's quality. Beat Vacaville 8-3. That's a quality win. Will play Central Catholic next week at 5:30. It looks like a home game. So is that with lights, or are they just probably not without
I wonder if they're doing like Folsom Lake College for that. I'll look into that because when they did that 6 o'clock game against Del Oro, that was at Folsom Lake.
Okay, could be, could be. We'll play Vanden on the 27th of April. Destiny Christian will play Rockland on May 4th, non-league game. Way to fill up the schedule. And you're talking about, who's hot. My goodness. So we know that Aaliyah Tua is a three-time Sacramento Bee Player of the Year. She's one of the all-time greats already. She doesn't even lead the team in batting. Ella Dossie, a sophomore, 731 batting average.
She just got eligible from transfer too. Look how good she's doing now eligible.
Oh, incredible. And you mentioned Chris Jackson, 11 home runs for Tua, 0.17 ERA. Holy cow. Aaliyah Tua has 31 runs, leads the team, 47 RBI. Already, she could quit today, and it would have a fantastic senior season. So really good. But why don't we here's a little interesting tidbit. There's so much pressure, or there's so much ego in high school sports that anytime somebody gets a scholarship offer, they're putting it all over social media, or somebody is, a family member, a friend, a handler. And all the offers, and then the commit, and then it's the decommit, and then in the portal and out of the portal, and just this constant. And now we're seeing it in recent years for football, basketball, baseball, whatever. I'm committed to such and such junior college, and okay, well, there's no such. First of all, kudos, because if you could play in college at anywhere, you're doing something. But there's no such thing as is there really a commitment to a junior college? There's no binding letter of intent. There's no signature that binds you to that school. It's verbal. So if these kids are wheeling out these, I'm going to, Sierra College, I'm going to Casitas Republic, Delta College, whatever, College of Sequoia, to play this sport or that sport. If they're only verbals, these things can change tomorrow. And, we think of the Division I and Division II college recruiting as being competitive in recruiting. So is the junior college. I've heard this stuff for years. The junior colleges will trash the other junior colleges right here in this town. But baseball, football, basketball, we're better. We're development. We're going to develop you, blah, 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 blah. And they will trounce the other school. So it's fairly competitive. I don't know. Maybe I'm an old grump here, but I think just posting, I've got an offer here, I'm going to commit to this junior college, it seems a little bit much because there's nothing binding. That could all change, subject to change. Your thoughts? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's different when you look at some of the junior colleges out in the Midwest or out in the South where you can actually get some type of scholarship for going to these or moving to dorms, something like that. But yeah, committing to a junior college out here at the end of the day, again, like you said, kudos to you. You're playing further than most people who have ever played are going to play. But at the end of the day, no roster spots are guaranteed, and there's no necessarily commitment to it because so much can change. Even if it's for football, when we get kids posting stuff now, so much changes between now and August, even before rosters are made, and how many kids get cut. Schools will bring in 130 guys, but maybe they only have room on the roster for so many. So what happens to a lot of these guys? They're getting moved. They're going to a new college. They're finding where it fits. There's so much movement at this level, and almost too much movement at this level. I almost say sometimes, hey, your spot's not even guaranteed till you're like 2 or 3 games in because there's so much movement at these levels. And yeah, I'm with you. I think a lot of it is, getting that social media clout and kind of getting those views, and maybe, there's a little bit of hoping that it gets eyes from another coach or something like that. And I even saw one the other day and I had to laugh at this because I thought it was a joke, but it was serious. There was a kid that posted a graphic of him playing football with a Michigan logo behind it and then said, after further consideration, I've decided to no longer pursue football at the next level, that I'll be attending the University of Michigan as a student. I'm like, now you're just posting graphics for where you're going to college? I mean, what are we doing here? So I'd like to announce that I'm committed right now to the Three Stooges podcast, but my recruitment remains open. And yeah, it's just, it's a sign of the times that we're in, but it's unfortunate that it's getting watered down. There's kids posting commitments to non-committable offers. There's kids posting their offers that aren't committable. We've all seen clips of kids saying they got offered by whatever college, or they got, a non-committable scholarship offer and they're in seventh grade or something. And it's all just ridiculous. And there needs to be somewhere that we draw the line for this. And if a college wants to post, I've seen the schools, maybe football or baseball account or whatever, post, hey, we got this kid coming in. Sure, that's the school posting it. I'd say that's a safe bet that they're, banking on this kid coming in, but we don't need crazy, graphics for a kid basically choosing where they're going to college and hoping they make the sports team while they're there.
Yeah, and before I throw to you, Chris Jackson, I remember talking to Marco Baldacchino about 6, 7 years ago. He was a two-time Sacramento Bee All-Metro quarterback, replaced Ian Book, great running quarterback, tall, slender. I don't think he's added but 5 pounds since his playing days. And after the signing day, I got a hold of him for a story on, well, what's left for when there's no more scholarships. And he said he took a walk-on deal at Northern Arizona in the Big Sky Conference because he said, I got tired of people on campus. Where are you going? Are you going on a ride? Who's your scully to? And he took the walk on just to feel like he belonged, like he was legit. Didn't even make it to fall camp because he realized that you're just a practice body. And so there's all that pressure. And we've said this many times, right, Chris Jackson? Go where it fits, go where it feels right. And if you need to, show off on your social media and all the places you're going and all that. Troy Taylor, the great football coach at Sac State and later at Stanford, Folsom High School roots as a high school coach. I always had a saying, there's a lot of kids who love being recruited, including all the social media stuff. They love that more than actually playing the game. And I think that's true in a lot of sports. But Chris, what are your thoughts on, why don't you put a tweet out, Chris Jackson, that you got to answer the door and you got a fire alarm inspection thing, and you're committed to that.
I used to really care about social media and the perception or look on it, right? I think that's probably because I was young 20s and that's what we all thought, right? And then you hit this age. I mean, I'm 29 and I'm not really old. I feel old a lot of days, right? But you realize it just doesn't matter. Like that's not where my joy in life comes from. I really just comes from the process of the job, the life, my wife, my family, going out to games, covering games, getting to know people, right? That's really where the joy and the satisfaction comes down to. And whatever comes of it, whatever rewards come of it, come of it. And that's awesome, right? That's super, super cool. But I think a lot of it too is it's not the kids, and kids don't know any better. There's probably a lot of times I still don't know any better, right? Where you get adults are you're getting a lot of pressure in society nowadays, especially. Like I'm glad you mentioned like kid thought, well, I had to get a spot at a school because I was tired of being asked, right? Everybody's like, oh my goodness, where are you going? Where are you going? You going D1? You going D1? What D1 school are you going to? I mean, where are you going to play? I mean, is there an offer there? You getting how many offers do you have? Like, cool, but everyone's time, everyone's journey is different, right? Just because one kid got that D1 offer now, maybe your journey, your story is different. That's okay. You might not have the size. Okay, no big deal, right? Don't let that define you. Go where you're wanted, go where it fits, go where it feels right, go where it feels like home too. That's the biggest thing. Are you going to date someone that doesn't want you? No, that doesn't make any sense. because they don't want you, right? So why am I going to chase a school or a job that doesn't want me, right? Like it's okay if Alabama football doesn't want you. That's completely okay, right? They give how few people actually get that option. We talk about the small percentage of kids that didn't even get a chance, like 7% lower, whatever it is, and think of 1% D1. Think of how much even lower it is to get Alabama looking at you, then to get that offer, then to get one of their, it used to be what, 25 scholarship spots per recruiting class for high school, right? Just imagine that. There's so much pressure on these kids nowadays. And I mean, I feel for them too. I think that's where just sports psychology, having the right people in your ear, it's what matters. You need people that genuinely care about you. They're in it for you. They don't care about the clout, this this type of stuff for you. And people are going to send you graphics to post because it looks good for them, right? Sure, it might look cool for you, but it also looks good for them at the end of the day. JUCO, if that's the route for you, that's the route for you. Awesome. But don't look past D2, D3, NAIA. You can get scholarships at the D2 level. D3, you can get academic stuff. I've covered plenty of kids that got at least half of their schooling paid for just because they were good academically. There's a lot more for it than you even think or know about. That's where you got to go talk to counselors, go talk to the career center at the college you're looking at. And I'm sure those coaches will help you too, especially at these high academic schools, right? That's what, and it's still great athletics. Don't just think it's D1 or bust, D1 or bust. You could still go D2 or D3 and bump your way up. We just saw Iowa's basketball coach. They just made a run in the NCAA tournament. He was coaching D2 basketball 2 years ago. He was coaching, well, I forgot what the school was. Then he went to Drake for a year. And then he's at Iowa. Look what he's doing, right? There were some players that he had recruited that were D2 All-Americans and bumped their way up. We see it in college football. Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss was a D2 guy not long ago, right? And it worked out for him. There are some guys that works out for, some it doesn't, but go somewhere where you're happy. Sure, that wearing the logo might look cool, but I remember somebody saying 4 or 5 years ago, who's going to be happier? The guy that's out of school where they're wanted and the coaches are like giving them playing time and giving them reps and stuff, and they feel genuinely part of the program, or somebody that's at a big school, but they're not getting anything. They're not getting any playing time. They're maybe fourth or fifth string. Well, the first guy I mentioned, the first girl I mentioned is going to be a lot happier coming home for the holidays because they're getting everything, right? They're getting the playing time, the looks, and it's probably just that's the place they feel wanted, right? There are great options for everybody, and if JUCO's the route for you, that is awesome. If you get the ability to go D1, that is freaking awesome. But D2, D3, NAIA, there's a lot in culture nowadays where it's got to be D1 or bust. It doesn't have to be, man. It doesn't have to. Even the stats of going JUCO to the D1 level, it's still not a high number. I mean, it's higher technically, but it's still not high because think of how limited roster spots there are. Now there's the transfer portal that's just gone crazy. We've got an executive order that I think is going through, I don't know, the 5-for-5 thing. Who knows? But then there's people getting waivers, injunctions. Who knows how this ends up? So just go where you're wanted in a place where it just feels like the coaches genuinely care about you, not just on the field, but they care about you off the field. They want you to win off the field. I see college football programs where they do a fifth quarter thing where they bring in different business people each week to talk about their career, why they went that route, investing, financial literacy, and all of that stuff too. If they care about you off the field like that, I guarantee you're probably going to want to play harder for them, and you're going to get the wins on the field and in life with that too. That's what it. I know that's a long-winded kind of spiel and answer, but that's just the way it should be. It looks cool on social media. It does some of this stuff. I mean, committing to a JUCO probably looks cool, and it's good for that school. That's why graphics get made. That's why they get posted. But at the end of the day, it just simply put, man, if you got an opportunity to go D2, D3, NAIA, and you can get some money with it too, don't look past that. Seriously, there are great coaches at that level that move up. You can move up too. If you do well, there are people dedicated to the portal to scouting that way every single day out of the year. There are GAs, people cutting up film. There's databases, everything. I mean, just let your journey be your journey and don't let other people try to dictate it.
Oh, well said. For our 50th Three Stooges podcast, that's a good way to go out. Enjoy it. I think we got a lot of immaturity. We got a lot of ego involved here. I mean, we also, this is the topic for another day, but every time there's a college football signing, the 7-on-7 coach is taking credit, or the assistant AAU coach is taking credit for when something, they're just ego. That's my girl, my team, and whatever. But I think your theme is spot on, Chris Jackson, where go where it fits, go where it feels right, and don't worry about what anybody else thinks. It's your life. Next week on this podcast, we're going to break down some of our players of the year in basketball, and also the topic of, okay, so we had a good basketball season, yes. How come only a handful of kids are signing? We'll continue that discussion next week. Jackie Robinson, day to day. Honor that man. Go out to a baseball game. Go out to a softball game. Watch a game on TV. I think it's the right way to do it. I'm going to go check out the A's. Jordan Georgeson, you're good people. Chris Jackson, good people. Good to talk to you guys. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you for the following and the viewership.